All right, well, welcome everyone to our sixth session in this Brightspace Assessment PD series. Today we're going to be looking at this thing called Mastery View, which is just a kind of a layer on top of the gradebook that we're going to look at today, explore a little bit, and see if it's something that you can use to track expectations in a better way. So to do that, let's go in to this course, and I'm just going to go to the gradebook here just to remind you what we've done in the past very briefly. And you'll notice, right, we've got a bunch of grade items inside here. Our categories are here. Our grade items are here. We could have them done by percentages. We could have them done by levels. Right? You can have them as file submissions, or you could have them from discussions. You can exempt people from specific grade items or assignments. And there's a lot of things you can do inside here. Okay, and at the end, this is going to calculate a grade for you that you can override and share out. But there's nothing in the gradebook here that shows you anything about curriculum expectations. It's just the numerical values that would end up giving you that overall grade. So unless you know what these assignments have attached to them in terms of their expectations, it might be difficult to give feedback on that. Now, if you notice up here at the top where it says View Achievements By, there's this option, it defaults to grades, but you can also select Mastery. And if you select Mastery, what this is going to pull up is actually all of the curriculum expectations that you've loaded into this course. So the ones we've been using so far were like LS1 and LS2 for Learning Skill 1, Learning Skill 2. If you're using, learning goals-based assessment, or these ones are all showing specific expectations from the curriculum in a certain course. Okay, as you can see, that gets overwhelming pretty quick because I've only added, that many expectations inside here. But essentially what this is doing is it's showing all the students in the class, and it's showing where their achievement is at for that specific learning goal or that specific curriculum expectation. And you'll notice here that all of these show initially as being hidden. That eyeball there means it's hidden or not published. And what I'll say is that these are actually automatically populated. So as we've been going through this assessment course and we've been leveling things like those curriculum expectations on a rubric or inside an assignment, and whenever we've had to check off, level 1, 2, 3, 4, R or I, those have been populating into this mastery view. Okay, now students can't really see these. I'll show you where they will be able to see them. But the first thing I'll do is I'll show you how you can publish these, because you can either just publish these individually if you'd like to release that to a student, or you can publish it all at once. So I'll show that very quickly here. So let's say we haven't actually assessed Creed in here. We can click on LS2 with Creed. We'll click on that, and this will open up and give us the option to give us a manual override. You'll notice there's nothing Creed has submitted that's had this expectation attached. So there's no value that's inside here yet. But we can select manually override and give him a level 2, give him some feedback, and we can publish that. Now, when we go back to that mastery view, what we'll end up seeing here is that now Creed has a level 2, and that is visible. It's published. Now, I'll show you where that published part goes in a little bit. But what I'm going to do right now is just so that when we go to look at it, I'm going to publish all. And publishing all means everything is going to be visible for everyone. And that to me is okay for now. Okay. So let's take a look at a few of Pam's entries and we'll see what it actually shows us. So we'll open up this LS1 level 3, see how many times she's been assessed on that expectation. Okay, so it's only been assessed one time in November, and it was on an assignment called Untitled 2, and we can see that that was the level that she received on that. That's what's coming in from another assignment, which means that populates into the mastery view. Okay, we'll look at this one too, this level 2 for Pam. And I can quickly go through and see, okay, yeah, another thing here. This is from an art show portfolio item where she received a level 2. We could give some additional feedback if we'd like. But you know what? If I don't really like where Pam is at with this, and I think she actually deserves a level 3, I can again go in, manually override, give it a level 3, update that. Then what you'll notice is this green little bar just changed there. Now this is the indicator of what the mastery view will be giving. So you see level 3 and level 3. However, the evidence here is still just showing the level 2. Okay, I want to find one though that's going to have multiple entries for you so you can see what that looks like. And I want to say this one over here might. So let's click on this level 3, 2DC1. And yes, so we have a couple different options here for Pam. You can see in November, she got a level 2 on her Untitled 2 assignment. And in December, in her art show portfolio, she got a level 3 on this particular curriculum expectation, 2DC 1.2. And so you can see here there's a balance between the level 2 and the level 3 because she's had 2 assessments on that. You can see, yep, she's had one of them at level 2, one of them at level 3. And overall, it's going to default to give her the level 3 because of most consistent and most recent. Again, if you don't like that, you can click manually override and do that. Now, the nice thing about this is if you're thinking, oh, well, this expectation, I actually want to see how other students are doing on this expectation. In the top right-hand corner, you can just click right there, user 1 of 16, and I can go next and open up Andy, see if Andy has anything. Nope, Andy has nothing for this yet. 3, no, Creed doesn't have anything. You probably should have chosen a different one to go look at. So let's go back to Mastery View. I think I haven't really filled out all of these. Oh, but Toby has had something in there. Okay, so this is just automatically populated. The nice part about this is it's going to give you a quick at-a-glance view of where your students are at, especially when you look at the top part. So those colors in here are actually showing you the percentage of people in your class who have achieved those levels on that expectation. So you can see here at a level 4, this has been done, or 25% of your students are achieving level 4 in this particular learning skill. 12% of your students are hitting level 3, and 62% of your students have not been evaluated inside this expectation yet. So that means you better get on that. Okay, but when we go over to here, this 2DD 2.2, you'll notice we've evaluated at least everyone once on this. Some people may have been evaluated more on this or less. It really doesn't tell us that just yet. But we can see here that everyone has been in there, and we can see that a quarter of our class is at level 4, a quarter of our class is at level 1, 18% of our class is at level 3, 12% is at level 2, and 18% is at level R or I. So maybe this is something where I need to provide a little bit more opportunity for students to demonstrate their learning. Now again, if I go into Pammy here and we open up that, we can see what she got, and this is from a rubric, actually, the expectation no grades rubric. So there was an assignment in December, and there was a rubric attached with no grade, but this funnels directly into the mastery view. And we can just kind of click along and see, okay, there's Andy's, okay, there's Creed's. And now the interesting thing is if we want to look at Creed here, we can actually come down and click on the expectations no grade. We can go right into an assignment viewing page here where we can see what the assignment was, what feedback was given, what the instructions were. Now in these sample assignments, I didn't put those in there. But then we can also see what the expectation was and what proficiency he achieved. Okay, so you can see all of that right inside there. And then we can go back directly to our mastery view. So you can always jump into seeing exactly where they were graded, how they were graded, and provide feedback, which is kind of neat. Okay, so there's a lot of things you can do too inside here. So the first thing I'll just point you to is the mastery view settings. Now this is something that you're going to have to play around with to get it how you want. But essentially what's happening is the way that mastery view is calculating an overall grade there, or an overall level, is based on a calculation. Now, by default, this is going to look at the most common, and it's going to look at the most recently assessed activities within that expectation that you're looking at. So if you've assessed that expectation 10 times, it's only going to look at the last 5 by default, but you can change that to the last 8, the last 3. It's all up to you. Okay, you can also then look at when more than one achievement level have the highest counts, use the highest level or the most recent, right? You can look at attempts and number of attempts. You could also change this altogether and say, well, no, I want this to be based on the most recent. Okay, so if it's based on the most recent, if you had, 8 things at a level 4, but then it drops down to a level 2, that might change that to a level 2. So that's something you probably want to consider before you jump in and start using most recent. You could look at the highest if you're saying, well, I want whatever highest achievement they've done in that expectation, I want that to be there. Now you can also be looking at the most recent activities as well. So you could be looking at the highest out of the most recent 5 or the highest out of the most recent 3. Okay, or you could look at all activities. So the highest out of all of them. And I just want to see one time, what is that going to be? Okay. Now you can look at decaying average as well. I'm not going to go into that one. And I'm also not going to go into no automatic calculation. I mean, no automatic calculation is just, you have to manually put in everything. But I'm not going to go into the decaying average. I'm just going to leave it at the most common for now. And I'm going to select save and close. Thing is, if you make any type of changes inside here, it's going to redo everything. So notice here, once saved, all the automatic calculations will be recalculated with the new configuration. Manual overrides and evaluations will not be changed. Okay, so that's nice because if you've gone in and changed something, it's not going to update those based on your manual override. Okay, changes are immediately visible to students and their overall achievements are published. Cool. So we go back inside here, go to grades, and you can click on mastery. And there we go. We have all of those. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to go show you where Pam can see all of these. Okay. Now, actually, one thing to show you inside here, notice how this says level 3 and this level 3 with an asterisk next to it. That little asterisk means that it's been a manual override. Okay, so you can always go in and see, well, that's what it's calculating it as. This is my override. So I changed that from a level 2 to a level 3. Okay, so what I want to do is go into the class progress, because this is really where students are going to be able to see what their overall grade or achievement level is. So if I go into Pam here, wait for that to load up, and we'll go to expectations. So the expectations progress page here you've seen before, but it probably hasn't had all of these little markers on the side. It's just had the green bars or the yellow bars and such. These values over here, these green bars, are actually the mastery view if you're choosing to use it. So what this is showing is that level 3 on the green bar, that was an assignment she submitted and got a level 3 on, but her overall grade on that expectation is level 3. This here, she got level 2 on learning skill 2, but I manually overrode that mark to give it a level 3. You can see here, these two, level 2 and level 3 was the achievement on assignments, but the level 3 is what is being given in mastery view, and so on. So this little bar with a diamond at the top is really showing what the updated progress is on that specific or overall expectation, depending on how you're doing that. Okay. Now, if we click into this, that expectation, we get a similar view, right? We can see, okay, those are the two things that were assessed. That's the overall achievement. So the overall achievement is level 3, and we can get into both of these to see. Now, this is actually the exact same view that Pam is going to get if she goes into her progress. So I'm going to impersonate her just so you can get an understanding for what students would see if they're using this. Okay, we're in as Pammy here, and if we click down here, we can actually select progress, and that will bring her to this progress page. Now she can also get that from going here and then class progress, and we'll select expectations. She gets that almost identical view as the teacher, probably identical actually, and then you can see that, right? Same page, she gets to see these, she gets to see this, And then she can also go in and look at, okay, level 3, level 2. How did I get on that? I can click on Untitled 2. It'll open up and show the feedback, show the rubric that was where those levels came from, right, on LS1. 2DC 1 and 2, 2DC 2 and 1, right? And she can see her original assignment right from there. Okay, so that's essentially what the mastery view is. Now, from a student perspective, when they click on grades, they will not see the mastery view here. Okay, so the only place where they will get the mastery view, or at least their curriculum expectations, and see that is from that progress. Okay, so there's no place where they can actually go just to see mastery view like a teacher would in the grades tool. In the grades tool, they're just seeing what their numerical grade or their level grades are going to be in the way that you've set up the gradebook. Okay, but if they click on progress, then they will end up getting to that progress page where then they can select expectations, and that's where they can get those sample values from. Okay. So I'm going to show you what that will look like if you don't have anything in your course. So we did a lot of assessment examples inside this course, which is why this has been working nicely with Mastery View. But if we go into a course where we haven't necessarily done anything in the gradebook yet, maybe we've created some grade items. So in the expectations course, we created a bunch of grade categories, but there were no grade items yet. There was nothing that was actually assessed. But I did load in expectations. So if you come into content, I'll show you the expectations that we loaded in. There's actually a couple different places you can get these from. You can go to content and then select expectations up here, and you'll be able to see what expectations have been loaded in. You can go add or remove expectations, or you can go to your course admin, and then there's an option inside there for expectations. And if you open those up, it just loads in, or just shows you all the expectations you've loaded in. Now, one thing I would suggest is I have only loaded in the overall expectations inside here. And the reason for that is when we go to Mastery View, it's going to be a lot easier to identify the overall expectations in terms of their levels instead of looking at all of the specifics. I think for A1, there's actually 12 specific expectations. So instead of going A 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, all the way to 1.12, you can leave this as just A1. And then all of your assessments that have A1 attached to them will show up directly here. Okay, and then you can check the mastery as you go. Now, this doesn't have a grade item, that has no grade items, has no assignments. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to create an assignment very quickly. Okay, so it does have some assignments, but I'm going to create one anyways, just so that I can do this very quickly. And I'll show you, let me see here. I'm going to attach an expectation of A1, A2, B1, B3, C1, and C2. I know it's a lot of them. I would probably never do this, but it's just what we're going to do. Call this expectations. The type I'm going to make is a observed in person, just so that when I actually go to assess this, students don't have to submit anything. Okay, so I've created my assignment. It's there. Now I want to show you the gradebook and what will happen if we haven't made anything that has been assessed yet. So grades right there, I didn't make a grade item inside here, so there's just categories. There's no grade items yet. But if I go to the mastery view, I haven't assessed anything with levels yet. So there's nothing that's actually showing, but because I've attached those curriculum expectations, now you can see those right here. So these would be your A1, your B1, C3, all those. Okay. So when we go here now, I'm going to go into the assignments. It was still this course, yeah. Go into that assignment, open up expectations, and I'm going to start evaluating a few people. So I'll start with Andy here. And notice this is observed in person, so you don't see anything that's submitted. I can give some feedback, but all I want to do is go through and just put in some levels here. So good job, Andy. I'll publish that for him. And then I'll move on to the next student. Okay, RR1, 1, 2, publish. Next, Okay, good job, Creed. Level 4, level 3, level 4, level 4, level 3. Publish, next. Okay, Daryl, good job. Level 2, level 4, level 3, 4, 4. Okay, and as you can see here, if I'm doing this in person, it's pretty quick and easy to do this. Might be a little bit time consuming if you're having to do everyone at once. Normally I wouldn't be doing this so quickly, but I just want to have some of those things publish. So now that those are published, I'm going to go back into the mastery view and see what that looks like. So we'll refresh the screen there. And you can see all of those people, Andy, Creed, Jan, Angela, Daryl, Dwight, all of those now have those published based on what I just did. So it pre-populates that solely based on the expectations that I put on that assignment. Now, because I didn't create a grade item, it's not going to calculate anything for me in grades, but I can still kind of come inside here and look at the progress of the expectations. So if I want, again, I can publish all and see exactly what we've got inside there. Okay, so you can see, yep, look at that. We've got 12% at level 4, 12% at level 3, and I can see who has not been assessed on it. So I can retract all of this feedback if I don't want students to see the overall achievements. So if I then go into retract all here, it's just going to make these so that they're hidden. Now it's not going to make the feedback on the actual assignment hidden. It's just going to be that mastery view that's hidden. So what I'll show you here is actually, I'm just going to make one of these visible for Andy. So I'll publish that one and go back. So now Andy should be able to see that he has one expectation right here, the level 3, that's visible, and all of these other ones are not visible. But it's just the mastery view. So let's go to class progress. And I'm going to open up Andy. And we should see that. So we should see the expectations, all of them that were assessed for him. That's not what I'm saying won't be shown. So you see all 5 of those are shown, but only the one that I've made visible will show the overall progress, which is that little stick with the diamond on top. None of the others have that. Now, if I do go in and publish those in Mastery View, then all of those would show. So maybe you don't want to show those until you have a few different assessments for each of those expectations, but you know, it's really up to you for how you want to show that. You could show that all the time and then manually change them, or allow the automatic most common to update that if that's what you're looking to do. Okay. So this can be used in conjunction with other tools as well. So, right, like when we use portfolio, if you have a portfolio item that you want to add in there, I'm going to go to our other course, right? Remember, when we had the portfolio, there were a few different things that we had assessed through the portfolio. So when we look at Andy Bernard here, and let's say it's the Nard Pup Tattoo. So Andy had these expectations that I added in here. When you go add expectations, right? If we add in that LS2, then we can notice here when we go, oh, level 1, that will now funnel into the mastery view. So anytime you add an expectation in and assess based on this scale of R1, 2, 3, and 4, it will add it into mastery view. Okay, so it can definitely help you if you're doing learning goal-based assessment, if you're doing anything to do with report card comments and you're trying to give reporting, or you're trying to give feedback on the overall expectations. Having this inside here is very quick and easy to look at. And then you can also quickly check at the top, well, how is my class doing relative to each other? Are the majority of students in the level 1-2 range? Are the majority of them in the level 3-4 range? And then how can I go about changing that, or kind of changing what I'm teaching or how I'm assessing to make sure that I'm hitting the needs of all of our students? So that is where I'm going to leave it here. with the Mastery View. Keep in mind, you don't have to actually use Mastery View and grades at the same time. They can actually be done completely exclusive of one another. You don't have to have them being used at the same time. You could be using them at the same time. You could actually, like we have in this other course, you could be looking at grades and calculating some grade values. Oh, I'm in the wrong course, but you could be calculating the grade values in here through this. You could also then be providing your students with the Mastery View, right? To show them, yeah, that might be your overall grade, but here is specifically which where your grade's coming from almost, right? Like your achievement level in those specific or overall expectations or learning goals. Okay. So that's where, again, I'm going to leave it. The next bonus session we're going to do, which will drop next week, is going to be about all of the different other tools that you can use inside Brightspace to help with assessment. So things like Quick Eval and the Work to Do widget, the assignment submission tool, Irkind, and a bunch of other things that, again, I think can drastically save you time and help you with your assessment practices in an online course when you're using Brightspace. Thanks for tuning in, folks, and we will see you another day.